The morning sun filtered through the grimy window panes of Elara's apothecary, illuminating dust motes that danced in the air like miniature fireflies. Tanya, her apprentice, hummed a cheerful tune as she ground herbs into a fine powder. Elara, however, was preoccupied. "The tremors," she muttered, her brow furrowed. The city of Aerilon had been shaking for days, and with each passing tremor, a knot of dread tightened in her stomach. It was an event she had anticipated with a morbid certainty, the prophecy she'd studied tirelessly finally coming to fruition. "What is it, Elara?" Anya asked, pausing in her grinding. "Another earthquake or something more ominous?" Elara's eyes met Anya's, her gaze piercing. "More ominous. The tremors are the harbingers of a far greater disaster, one that could unravel the very fabric of our world." Anya's smile faltered. "But surely, with the Starstone, the Guardians will be able to—" Her voice trailed off, fear clinging to her words like morning dew. Elara sighed, knowing the prophecy was a double-edged sword. It foretold the imminent awakening of the ancient evil, the Shadow Eater, but also spoke of a hero, a chosen one, who could banish it. This hero was to be guided by the Starstone, an ancient artifact, capable of wielding unparalleled power. "The prophecy, my dear Anya, is a tapestry of both doom and salvation, woven with threads of fate," Elara said, her voice hushed with foreboding. "And we, my dear girl, are caught within its intricate design." 3 days later, chaos enveloped Aerilon. The tremors escalated into a full-blown earthquake, shaking the very foundations of the city. Buildings crumbled, and screams pierced the air. In the heart of the commotion, a young man, Caelum, fought to escape the falling debris. Caelum, a simple woodcarver known for his quiet nature and gentle hands, had been living a solitary life until that fateful day. But amidst the chaos, he felt an unexpected surge of strength. The walls of his workshop cracked and caved in, but he managed to escape with barely a scratch. Standing amidst the rubble, he felt a strange call within him, a guiding force drawing him towards the crumbling city center. His feet moved on autopilot, taking him to the heart of the disaster, the Temple of Aeon, home to the revered Starstone. As he approached the ruins of the temple, he heard a voice whisper in his mind, "Seek the Starstone." The voice was as powerful and authoritative as a clap of thunder. He stumbled inside, heart pounding, and found himself staring at a giant pedestal where a dazzling blue light pulsated in the darkness. In its center, nestled amongst shimmering shards of ancient crystal, lay the Starstone, radiating an inexplicable aura. Suddenly, a deep voice boomed from the shadows. "The Chosen One," it said, with a cruel and knowing tone, "the prophesied slayer of the Shadow Eater." Caelum whirled around, but the shadows remained impenetrable. Panic choked him. He clutched the Starstone tightly, its warmth surging through him, fueling him with an undeniable courage. "I will fulfill the prophecy," he declared, his voice steady. "I will not fail the world." As Caelum emerged from the temple ruins, his resolve hardened. He met Elara's eyes. They locked for a moment, a silent understanding passing between them. She saw the light of the Starstone emanating from him, a beacon of hope in the midst of the devastation. Elara led him through the chaos of Aerilon, her nimble hands guiding him through debris and past the panicking crowd. She knew the prophecy and saw in Caelum the very hero she'd studied about. But fear gripped her as she realized the enormity of his calling. "Caelum," she said, her voice trembling, "you are the Chosen One, and the Starstone is your guiding light. But the path ahead is fraught with dangers. It is a journey you must undertake alone. I am but a humble healer, not a warrior." Caelum looked at her, his eyes filled with a newfound strength. "I understand, Elara, but your knowledge is vital to me. I cannot face the Shadow Eater alone." He reached out, his calloused fingers brushing against hers. "You are the light in the darkness, and I need you to guide me." He wasn't aware of the trembling in his hands, nor the vulnerability that shone in his eyes. Elara saw both, and the gentle heat that warmed her at the touch of his hand, a feeling foreign, but surprisingly pleasant. He looked like a seasoned warrior, but his hands, despite the dirt, were those of an artisan, careful and skilled. With a heavy sigh, she accepted his plea. "I will be your guide, Caelum, as far as my skills and knowledge allow. Together, we must prevent the world from falling into darkness." The journey was arduous. They trekked through shattered landscapes, battling both the harsh elements and the corrupted remnants of the Shadow Eater, monstrous beings that whispered promises of eternal slumber to lure their victims into oblivion. Elara's knowledge of ancient texts and healing properties of plants became invaluable to Caelum. He relied on her for remedies for wounds and guidance to find safe pathways, his reliance on her growing as they ventured deeper into the treacherous wilderness. Their connection deepened each day. Despite the shared purpose and a common goal, a burgeoning affection bloomed, kindled in the face of unimaginable adversity. She found solace in his unwavering strength, while he found comfort in her wisdom. They reached the heart of the Shadow Eater's domain, a vast, blighted forest that choked the very light from the sky. As they entered the cursed woods, the air turned icy cold, the oppressive silence broken only by the sound of their own breaths. "This is it, Caelum," Elara said, her voice taut with fear. "The Shadow Eater lies dormant within this forest, gathering strength, waiting to unleash its blight on the world." Caelum, clutching the Starstone tightly, felt its energy pulse within him, its warmth a soothing counterpoint to the chill that pierced through his clothes. "I will not let it," he declared. "The world will not succumb to its darkness. We will banish it, Elara. I will not fail." As they entered the deepest recesses of the blighted forest, a vast cavern yawned open before them. Its walls were lined with monstrous growths, grotesque parodies of life. In the center, enveloped in a swirling vortex of darkness, lay the Shadow Eater, its immense, amorphous form rippling with malevolent energy. Elara, standing beside Caelum, her heart pounding in her chest, understood the scale of the impending battle. It was an uneven contest, but one they had to win, for the sake of the world, and for the budding hope that blossomed within them. "This is where you face your destiny, Caelum," she said, her voice firm despite the terror that clenched at her throat. "The Starstone is your weapon, the power of hope your shield. It will not be easy, but we cannot falter. The fate of our world hangs in the balance." Caelum held her gaze, his heart pounding, but his eyes, usually reflecting kindness, now burned with unwavering determination. "The fate of our world, and ours." The battle began. The Shadow Eater's monstrous form writhed. It reached out with tentacles of darkness, aiming to ensnare Caelum, its voice, a chorus of whispers, a cacophony of seductive promises to drag him to oblivion. But the Starstone hummed, its blue glow casting off the encroaching darkness, fueling Caelum's resolve. As the creature lunged, he raised the stone high above his head. "By the light of hope, by the will of the guardians," Caelum bellowed, "I shall vanquish you, Shadow Eater." The Starstone shone brighter than the sun, blasting the creature with a torrent of celestial energy. The forest itself trembled, as if the earth itself was in pain. The battle raged on. For Elara, the fight was far from passive. She wasn't a warrior, but her knowledge of herbs and the healing powers of the world, wielded with passion, protected Caelum from the relentless assault of the creature. Through her healing concoctions and precise knowledge of the terrain, she managed to ward off the encroaching darkness. She saw the resilience of the hero beside her, the tenacity that came with a fierce and selfless love. When Caelum finally landed the final blow, his exhausted face was creased in pain. The Shadow Eater, weakened and defeated, withered away into nothing. The silence was deafening, broken only by the heavy breaths of the victors. But the victory was far from complete. The air remained thick with the creature's residual essence, and a cold, oppressive feeling lingered. A stark reminder that the battle had been won, but the war was not over. The cavern had gone quiet. The Shadow Eater was vanquished, leaving behind only an eerie silence that clung to the air. The world outside had already felt the aftermath of their victory. The light seemed a bit brighter and the skies clearer. But the darkness had not been banished. Not entirely. Caelum turned to Elara, his hand finding hers, their fingers intertwining. She knew, just as he did, the weight of their future. Their love, though burgeoning amidst their quest, was now strengthened by the shared ordeal. Elara met his gaze, seeing a reflection of her own emotions in his eyes, a vulnerability he hadn't revealed before, a longing hidden behind a fierce sense of responsibility. "It is not over," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The Shadow Eater is gone, but its essence remains, festering in the world like a wound. We must continue our journey. We must heal this world and ourselves." "Together," Caelum said, squeezing her hand, his voice husky with fatigue. "We will." They returned to Aerilon, heroes greeted with joy and awe, and then continued their journeys. They knew there would be more battles, more sacrifices, more dangers lurking in the shadows. Yet, they stood hand in hand, two souls entwined, two spirits forever bound by a quest, and a love forged in the crucible of darkness. A new dawn was upon them, and for Caelum and Elara, their journey of healing, together, had just begun.